It's a necessary evil in years like this, and I'm pleased I got it. It's like my 5th combine. Kieran's probably got another word for it when he's sitting there unblocking his combine.
Yeah, I am.
The only bit I let you dress yourselves in.
Right. That's
Pyjamas?
Material.
Very nice to sleep in, I should imagine, Shamit.
I have different ones. Great,
Silk, you're a silk man, aren't you? 16th of July, it's a wet July. We were combining yesterday until about 2 o'clock, got rained off. Frustrating, but to have got started in the barley, which is nice, so making some progress there. Yields are disappointing. We're only getting in the region of 6.5 to 6.7 tonne a hectare, which down from, typically at 9.5 tonne a hectare previous years. That's over 32% reduction in yield, which is over £300,000 worth of income that we've now lost. Got to try and find a way of getting that back. My original barley sales were 191 tonnes. Current market is about 141. So we've got a £50 a tonne problem there. There's no upshot. Being a feed barley, it's not malting, so there's no premium to be had on it. So rather disappointing, rather hoping we'll put it in store, hope that when the realisation that the yields across the country and through Europe are poor, that the overall prices will rise, and we'll try and gain back, because we've got to get 30% technically above £190, to try and get back to square one. Oilseed rape, we're just drying the last part of that off, and then that will be now leaving in the next 3 or 4 days, so that will get the rape cleared up. And we took advantage of some early sales, which were of course down from what we originally projected, but we've got to sell some crops for the cash flow to be able to pay for harvest and the labour and the fuel, and also the forthcoming land rents. So oilseed rape is one of the scapegoats for that. And the guys are back in the yard, which I never think that is their finest moment, when they've just had a tease of a couple of days combining and on the machinery. But they're getting the compressors mounted back in the top of the army Bowser. They've got the compressors are finally turned up, thank you Kelvin, and they're going to now get put into the boxes ready for the combines. Glyn's had to make some alterations to those boxes, mainly because, as it turns out, that the new combines have a slightly different headstock to the previous ones, in that they don't have a slatted hole on the side, they only have a single hole, so our connecting device actually no longer fitted. So Glyn's altered those, made a nice S-bend pin, so we can actually fit them again and use the boxes. So hopefully by tomorrow we've got them all connected up. Kieran and Kieran, the double trouble, they've been off doing some chainsawing in front of Graham, who's digging out some ditches. Finishing off what we hadn't got done this sort of winter and spring, and Sandy and James have been trying to sort out some drainage as well, where the oilseed rape was, where Glyn's been mould draining. Glyn's done well. He's been doing about 20% more on output from what we'd hoped with the mould draining. He's done some big hours. Freddie and Raymond are doing some service work on the Challengers. One of the mid rollers on the tracks had come off, snapped the bolts in hub, and obviously deteriorated the hub from rattling around on one bolt. Glyn fortunately found it when mould draining, so we're going to have to get a new hub, get that fitted, and they're just doing a service on the filters, etc., which are proving to be a little bit difficult in coming off. And Freddie's had Chandler's out trying to sort out the steering, because the cat didn't want to turn a full left-hand turn, wanted to do a part left-hand turn. So as the machine got warmer, and especially going down the road, its steering ability reduced. So we haven't quite got to the bottom of that, but we started by blowing and washing out radiators to see if it's a cooling issue with the oil on the intercooler. The guys have fitted a new intercooler on the JCB. The axle parts we're now putting back together, found that the 4 seals, 2 of them are incorrect. They got the right part number, but the wrong seals in those bags. So we're now having to reorder and wait for them to come. Fingers crossed we get them tomorrow, because we're down to, we were down to 1 forklift out of 3. We're down to 2 now. We've got 1 running, but the forklifts, certainly this time of year, are very key to the operation, and we need to get all 3 running again, so we can start moving some seed up to Lincolnshire, getting it put in the sheds up there, so that's ready for when we start drilling in September. And trying to keep the haulage guys occupied, because of course they're all waiting for harvest, it rains, and then we're trying to scrap around to find work. So hiring curtain siders and getting seed moved and bringing in stone. So we've now got, Chris has started the digs behind me on the new shed. So he started to clear some of the soil, and then the guys on the lorries will start to bring stone back in as back loads, so we can start laying the base with them taking some of the high protein blended wheat up north, and then picking up stone and bringing it back. So trying to utilise backloads and reduce the overall cost of the building plan. So interesting day, overcast overhead, and it was good to get started on the barley. Disappointing yield, but fingers crossed the wheat doesn't follow in suit with being a disappointing yield. We're a bit concerned about the lack of sunlight. My father's been round to tell me we've got a heat wave coming. Turns out it's going to be a 2-day heat wave at 27. I don't really consider 27 a heat wave. Usually when I go on holiday, I need it to be above 30 before I get my shorts on. But we'll see what tomorrow brings. So as we're driving around the field of the Grahams here on the combine, going around the headland on number 3, we're just driving along behind Kieran and suddenly come across somebody's having a barbecue in the middle of a barley field where they've dug a hole and they've physically had a fire here. If that had caught this crop, that would have took out probably about, well, between here and the next 400 acres. We could have lost 400 acres of barley. I mean, the level of stupidity and the fact that they've come in here through the hedge from next door at Bar Hill, and then they're having a, whatever they're up to, there's cans of alcohol everywhere. But literally, I mean, if it had been a hot time, we would have lost these fields. We're just trying to we've got the rain forecast. It's just gone 12 o'clock, got forecast at 2 o'clock rain. So we're just trying to take the headlands off around the outside of this field, so that if we're going to get rained off, we're near the farm, we can pack up, take the combines back home, and at least then the wind can get in and dry the rest of the fields out once the rain's passed. The sky's getting quite dark now. This is Kieran from New Zealand on his chaser. They're working in teams, so they're getting in a rhythm of knowing how each other operates, etc. I've noticed left my door open on my car. I'm pleased he drove by really slowly, because I'd have been really upset if my door had got peeled backwards. Combines have to pull over to combine a piece out when they're doing the first run on the headland, so that the chaser bin pulls on there, and then the combines have to stop to unload on the first time round. And you can see they've just swapped round. So number 1's now going in front. Kieran's now going to come up behind on row number 3, so that number 1 didn't get to stop. That's got to carry on. Chaser bin's now full. He's got to go all the way back round this field, which is quite a long way. So Kieran's just having a look to see how much grain is.
Actually not a hell of a lot, actually.
So we want 5, no more than 5. Three. Yeah. So we got three there, which is good. The straw's wet, but if you have any more than 5, then you've got too much going over the sieves coming out the back of the combine. So we're happy with that. We've actually got a proper tray testing kit that we put on, but we're not going to do it just yet while the season's sort of a bit fresh. So one of the issues we got is the green here. This is rye grass, and this is becoming a new problem. There's a band of land just through here where we've got about 3 or 4 fields of some rye grass, all coming from the headlands, and it's from the ELS, where rye grass mixers are used around the outside for those schemes, and that allowed them to seed each year, and then that's got swept into the field, and now it's getting out to sort of 20 metres wide, and it's going to become a real problem, because then it gets spread further out with the chaff spreaders, and there's no real control for this currently at the moment. The straw's damp, isn't it? We're very damp. Mind you, we've got rain in the house, it's going to get even wetter, isn't it? But yeah, the Henry the baling contractor, he's on his way down to come and look at the straw. He always gets slightly nervous about when I go combining barley because he says that the straw is still green at the bottom. But this is particularly bad. But that's not going to change unless we get a lot of heat. We've got no sun. There's very little sun. It's been overcast. We're on the 15th of July, and we just had really no sun at all to start harvest. So we're going to have a bit of this and have to rely on the wind, and they might have to tether it to try and get it to dry out a bit. So yields at the moment, we're on to our fourth field now of cutting barley. We've split the combines up, they're in teams of two. We've got two the other side of the road and two this side. And then we split the lorries up. We've got 6 lorries on today. We had 4 on yesterday while we moved from oilseed rape onto the barley. The oilseed rape actually has done better than we anticipated or budgeted. So our average yield on the rape is 3.67 and we've done 3.3. When I looked at the standard of the crops probably about 3 months ago, I reduced them down to about 2.75. And so we've had a better outcome on the yield than predicted. But the price, I got budgeted at £562, and currently I've got some sales in at 392. So actually, even though we've got the extra yield, it's not made up the lost income because the price is down. The barley is the biggest disappointment because we grow about somewhere in the region of about 920 hectares, and there's some spring barley as well. But winter barley within that is about 845. Is only yielding about 6.6 tonne a hectare currently. It may improve as we get into some of these bigger blocks because we picked off the small fields first. Just because it's been wet, we've got moistures ranging between 16.8 and 18%. So we just wanted to pick off the small fields, the inefficient ones, and just get a bit of barley underway. We normally aspire to do 9.5 tonne a hectare, so you're talking about a 32% drop in yield. That's substantial in budget terms, and the price is about anywhere between £10 and £30 a tonne below wheat, depending on the market and the surplus at the time. So barley might be disappointing. A bit early to say. Hopefully it'll go on some better fields, and that'll bring the overall average up, because if we're doing the smallest, obviously proportionately you've got more headland, and headlands are generally lower yielding. So the smaller the field, the greater the percentage of a headland. So we'll see what sort of towards the end of the week brings, because I think if it gets rained off today, we'll probably be stopped for 2 days. We've got thunderstorms tomorrow. Slightly nervous about that, knocking barley flat, etc. as they start to use yield that way. Please the oilseed rapes in though, because that doesn't take well to a thunderstorm. So look at this. So this is grass seed. This is where we've got a problem with grass all coming off the headland, and in the header here, absolutely full of the grass seed. So once that goes through the combine and gets spread, that's almost like re-drilling. And that's what's blocking up the header. And it's due to a lack of chemical control or availability of chemicals to control this. If we're not careful, we're going to end up with areas of land in the future that will become unfarmable for growing crops like wheat, for example, due to the lack of control. Now this top of this field we ploughed last year because we were trying to plough down the rye grass, which I would imagine in some sense has worked, but Kieran's probably got another word for it when he's sitting there unblocking this combine.
Yeah, I am.
So I just had a report what the moisture is. So it's a higher bit of barley here actually in terms of height. It's 17.1, really muggy today though. The car says it's 24 degrees, no sun at all, doesn't feel warm, feels quite cold. This is the rye grass and tied up in amongst the crop, which is making it difficult for the combines to harvest because they're trying to cut sappy grass. So they're struggling a bit. So the chaser bin's now going to have to go left-handed. He's cut him a slot to unload into. We do it this way round. We go round this way round the field on this pass. The next pass, when they do the headland, they'll come the opposite way, so the auger is out. The auger only comes out on one side. So the idea of doing it like this is he'll unload obviously stationary on this pass around the headland, but then he can carry on. So the combine can carry on while the chaser bin then takes his time to come out. Otherwise, if you do it the other way round, he's got to sit there waiting for the trailer driver, chaser bin driver, to mess about to come out before he can start combining. So these new bigger augers, you can see that's 12 meters. So from the center of the combine to center of the chaser bin, there's your 12 meters, so you control traffic farming. That auger is a 7XL, so that actually that's much longer now to allow the 12 meter control traffic. When I first started, the augers weren't that long, so we looked at trying to have belts on the chasers, or we had to come one wheel over just to unload just while we were harvesting. And now the longer augers have come out. I only had 2 last year and 2 with the shorter ones, so they had to come one wheel over to unload. Now they can all run in the CTF line. So yeah, number 1's Graham, and it's tricky combining. These sort of conditions, you have to be a good combine operator to be able to operate in them, because it isn't just sit back and crack on. It's quite challenging. So you'll see now he's finished unloading. So it's just the auger's now just unloading itself at the end. So when he closes, it doesn't all pour out, and it now allows him to carry on. Whereas when you'll see how long it takes the chaser bin to come out, you might have a 2 or 3 minute delay. Well, that actually, in terms of combining output, makes a big difference. So this guy has now got a full bin, and because it's a long way, it's a relatively short journey back to the beginning, but the time it's going to take in the challenge, it's going to be quicker for him to go all the way round to get to the lorries which are waiting on the opposite side. The biggest problem is where the wheelings are for the sprayer. You can see clearly one there. I just felt a spot of rain. We think it's because the preem's been put on, and then they've come back through with another operation, and the conditions were really difficult last autumn stroke winter, and it's gone through the preem layer, and that's allowed the ryegrass to come up unchecked, without any chemical control effectively, because the wheeling has pulled the chemical out. And that's why you can see it really clearly in the tram lines, in the wheelings, etc. You can just feel the spits of rain. I think we're going to be stopped in a minute. I've just got 2 combines which are literally going down the road to another field. They're going to have to turn around at the roundabout and come on back, I think. So this is actually quite a big swath here. So on where we've got a better crop, down here we've got a lot more straw. It's a big swath behind a 12 metre cut. So the balers, we have to have the wheels out. So we control traffic. We've got 1.8 to 1.8 internal. So everything running up this tram lines aren't squashing it down. The chaser bins are all running outside of those wheelings as well. So they're on 1.8, so they're not running the edges down. So not giving the balers a lot of stick around the headlands where most of the traffic is. No grass weed pressure here. It's just on the tram lines and on the headland. Come into the field, it's clean. I am worried about this ryegrass issue. I've got some friends coming over from Australia, so I've got these guys here. I'm going to have a chat with them because they've been dealing with ryegrass pressures now for most of their careers. about what we're going to do about this, especially the fact it's appearing in the tram lines, etc. It's an interesting problem, that what we could do to recreate the preem or etc. But so the barley's really pulling over now. You can see here that this is the issue. You know, it's got to that stage when that's just about ready to snap. It's not quite there yet, but you get the bad weather and then you start dropping on the floor. That's where we're going to lose the yield. It's amazing how quickly it's changed. But we'll go back to the grain store and have a look at what the sample's like and what they're doing about it. All right, so Shamrock's pulled up to get a load. Kieran's here going to unload into the lorry. We've got Graham over there in the combine, just pulled up, just got the spits of rain. So damp anyway, but it stopped us. So they lift the body up just so the weigh scale works on the trailers, because the weigh scales, they're on the front ram and they're on the rear pivot points, and that will tell Shamrock how much weight's in the lorry, so he can carry 30 tons if he can get it on. At the moment with the barley, it's not filling, they're not getting 30 tons on, they're probably only getting about 28 tons. Just I don't think we've had the sunlight for the bushel weights, and I think this could be a problem. We'll find out with the milling wheats. I'm semi-nervous that you need the sunlight to create the bushel weights to swell the grain, and we've not had it this year. So they're just emptying the bins out. One lorry just gone, and Kieran's going to bring the next load up as well, and then we'll go back to the grain store, and then they'll start clearing up and running the dryers. So what are you finding then? Because that's all grass seeds.
Yeah, lots and lots of rye grass seed.
Right. So what Eliza's done is how much is that in terms of?
100 grams.
So she's done 100 grams out of the sample, and now you're counting all of the green, all of the rubbish.
I'm just weighing it out. Yeah.
Into the pot, and then you're going to weigh that, and then that creates the percentage, because of being 100, if that's say 3. That's 3%. What are you finding it is at the moment?
It's around 4 grams to.
So 4%.
100 grams.
So most of this is going to blow out through the grain dryer, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially these little seeds. The amount of grass seeds there is frightening, isn't it?
Yeah, I've already sieved those ones, and then I'm just picking out the last.
Through this.
But yeah, because I'm having trouble because there's so many. So they just get caught in here.
All right.
And then I'm just tipping them in, because there's been a lot in the last few loads.
What's that from?
That's from the canola.
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, in Australia they call it canola.
Yeah.
They don't call it oilseed rape.
No.
They decided it wasn't PC. Isn't that the reason? Yes, they called it canola. So yeah, they're determining all of the paperwork. Every load we have, it has a delivery ticket and a passport to go into store. And then they're running all of the samples here into the into the foss. So that last load was 20%.
Yeah.
But the other ones were 17.1. Yeah. That's because it's rained, isn't it? It's got damp.
Rained, and I think because some of the rye grass
has brought the overall moisture up.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that's the other problem, is that the barley itself is actually 17.1. But the rye grass within that is obviously wet, and it's bringing up the overall. Hopefully when we get that headland off, that will solve that. But I'm a bit worried about this rye grass. It's going to be I think it's going to be the new problem for my career. It's an Australian problem, isn't it? Are you sure you guys didn't bring it over with you?
I think it might be the other way around.
Is that what we took it to you? Oh, what, like the rabbits? They always blame me about the rabbits when I go there. Right. So they're still drying the oilseed rape. We're using this side of the shed. This is an 8,000 ton shed, so 800 tons of rape looks quite small in here. But this is the chaff that always runs down a heap to the bottom. So when we're drying the rape, it's got 4 fans on the dryer. We turn 2 off, the top 2 off, and that stops it picking up the lighter rape and blowing it across the yard, because that's how we sort of keep the rape in the dryer. by just having the 2 exhaust fans on. But this is all now under 9%, so this will probably range about 8.2. This is getting ready to go off to its new home. And then the pile which is over there to the right, that gets taken round to the dryer as and when the dryer becomes space in to do so. This is my barley shed. So we started cutting barley, so my new problem is I need to get this out so that actually I can repipe the store and get the barley in it. So this is going to hold us up. If we can't get this gone, we're going to have a problem because we can't get the barley dried into the shed. We'll stop the combines. This week we've got another work experience young lad just over there. We've got Alfie, so he's come for work experience. So his aunt was Alice, and Alice worked here for 13, nearly 14 years as my PA, and must have paid her too much because she retired at 49. But so he's here for a week to learn about, just like Will did. He's now with Pete today, and then we'll put him in different departments. So the combine is here. Sent one of the combines back because it had rained. Now it's dried up again, and so we're now going to send it back down. A little bit frustrating because actually he's going to be up and down the road, but we can't leave the combines where we're harvesting. It's just not safe. So it means we've got to always bring them back, just because it's not a safe environment to leave them in risk of something happening to them. So he's now going to put his header back on, tow that back down there, go back down to the field and try again. So if it's sod's law, if we get down there and then it starts raining again, poor old guy be up and down like a yo-yo. This is Richard on number 2, who was here last year for New Zealand. He had a bad year last year. Well, the combine he was on last year here constantly kept going wrong, so he didn't get a full, really good time on it. So so far he likes this one though. So oilseed rape is finished. Barley obviously is worked out disappointingly, much lower yield than we predicted. So currently we're doing anything between 6.5 and 6.7 tonne a hectare. We've got a budget. We revised the budget a couple of months ago down to just above 8. But the original budget was above 9. We've seen a 32% difference in yield, and from what we did, which is just over £300,000 across the barley crop, which is a substantial amount of money, which we're now going to have to try and find in other crops. We're hoping that the winter wheat isn't going to now be a low yield. Everything would suggest that if the barley's down, that the wheat will be down. There's been no sunshine, so we're expecting that the bushel weights will be a problem, and of course then the yield. Fingers crossed though we're wrong on that, and actually the wheats do really well and make up some of the difference. Sandy is busy charging up one of the sprayers, which has actually gone flat, because we've been doing the telematics in it and getting the information off, and during the time it's been taking us to get some of the information, we've managed to run the battery flat on the sprayer. So he's now had to get that charged so we can continue to keep going. So we had Freddie, Raymond and Glyn. Glyn's started off subsoiling, then Freddie took over. Glyn's gone mould draining. Raymond's come up behind with the Toronto, 12-metre Toronto. Started cultivating all the rape land that we just harvested. He's done about 85% of the cultivating until we got rained off. You can see by, it's quite sticky out there surprisingly. And you can see just here the grain dryer is running. Real smell of harvest. I can smell harvest in the air. It's a great smell. I should be upset about it because it's expensive, but actually it means we've got quite a bit of land clear, we've got some straw rode up, we can get on with cultivating. It's a necessary evil in years like this, and I'm pleased I've got it. It's like my 5th combine. Okay, so the microwave, maiden voyage. Jimmy has got himself a sticky toffee pudding, and Simon has finished building this today. You're pretty happy about this, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm happy.
You're going to be the guinea pig. So the power, that looks good. Yeah, we're pleased with that. We had to make this 12 volt because it was 24 on the Unimog, like a lorry. So I think that so far. Okay, Jimmy, I can hear it popping. That's had 2.5 minutes.
Oh,
What's that like?
steaming.
Oh, it's steaming.
Hot.
Hot?
Hot. Real hot.
So we got success.
Big win though.
That was a big win. And that was from the fridge, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Freezer actually, I think.
So we've done it. Yeah. The only bit I let you dress yourselves in.
Right. That's
Pyjamas?
material.
Very nice to sleep in, I should imagine, Shamit.
I have different ones. Great.
Silk, you're a silk man, aren't you? Oilseed rape is all sold, so we've got 807 tonnes in total. I've got 200 going off into Stratford. I've got 600 going off, some to Cheshire and some into store. And the lorries have been loaded tonight, ready to start making those movements. So the fact it's all been dried, just done a quick calculation just to see what it's costing kerosene terms alone. That's without electricity and staff and capital and all that. Just the kerosene, we've used just over 4,000 litres. It's currently 64 pence for kerosene. We're actually using last year's kerosene, which we bought at 51 pence, but that aside, it's £3.17 per tonne it's cost for us to dry that just in kerosene. Now, if you look at the other point, it's just raining as we speak. If we do nothing and wait for it to dry, we are at risk of it shelling out on the floor in these heavy rains and big winds that might come. I'd rather take the £3 a tonne on the chin of the cost of kerosene than I would take the risk of what might come while we're waiting for it to dry. The terms of weather, just looked up on the 3 areas of the farms. So Lincolnshire's had 30 mil of rain, 30.2. So that'll be a wash up there. Bedfordshire's had 1.4 mil. So 36 miles away, barely had anything. And Cambridge around here's had 16.2, and that was before the rain shower that we've just been having in the last 5 minutes. So that set us back. That'll give us the opportunity to get a couple of these other jobs done. We're pretty much up together now with everything, got caught up. So it's really just getting ready and to get going. And then obviously when this oilseed rape's gone, cleaned down, we'll start drying the barley. We'll pipe up the store and we'll start filling it. The 8,000 tonne, which we thought we were going to fill, looking at the yields, if the yields don't get better, fingers crossed once we get into the bigger fields, the yield increases, but we're going to only use about 6,000 tonne of that 8,000, so we're going to have about 2,000 spare. I'm hoping that we get better yields and actually that changes quite quickly. In terms of other things which are happening, we've got Anglia Water again has sent me another 3 letters about coming in to put a new pipeline in, and they're going to do it starting next week, 7-day notice. So unfortunately that's going to happen just before harvest. UK Power Networks are going to go, and we'll go and have a look at that later in the week, see where they've been. Unfortunately they've been in 3 weeks before. Given their due though, they have paid me in advance before they've come in and destroyed the crops, so that makes it a lot more palatable. So we'll go and have a look to see what damage they've caused, hopefully minimising it, purely to put an electric pole in. It's a shame they couldn't wait 3 weeks, but there we go. Thank you ever so much for the people who've been subscribing, much appreciative. It's nice to see that it can continue to grow. Last video after 2 days has just gone over 25,000 views, so that's nice, thank you. Paul has done 47,000 views on his video with the lorries, so got to make sure the farming size beats the haulage. So rely on another 20,000 people, please. Answer a couple of questions which have come through. So yes, we were in pigs up to 1983. My father came back in the 70s. The pigs came out and they converted the buildings into light industrial units. I'll make a point of showing them to you. The tillage, yes, there was a tillage event in that field in Great Everston. It wasn't hosted by me, it's hosted by Tom and Ed Banks, who own the land. back when I remember going to it, and it must be 20 plus years ago. Soil testing, yes, we've used 2 companies, Soil, SOYL, and also Precision Decisions, both done some testing for us. And we continue to use them, especially on taking on new farms, so that we get a base of exactly what there is before we start, so we know what to add to where. I just picked up the Times newspaper, just had a quick flick through to see if there's any farming in it. And yes, we have an article in here which refers to emissions farming will do most harm to the climate. This was done by a gentleman called Tom Lancaster and is part of the Energy and Climate Intelligence Unit. And he says that the belching cows and nitrogen fertilisers and other practices on 200,000 plus farms are going to produce the largest polluter in the country. Had a meeting today with Frontier and with the Farmers Weekly. David Jones, he very kindly came up to talk about milling wheat and the difference between growing feed and milling wheat and going forward, why we grow it, and will we continue growing it, and has the premium that's currently on offer is a big deciding factor, and what would we do if the premium dropped? How would it change our style of farming? So pleased to have had that meeting. Hopefully that will appear at some point in the Farmers Weekly in the future. Fingers crossed the weather changes. We've got about 810 hectares left of winter barley to do, so we're just at the beginning of doing it. So fingers crossed the weather's going to change and we can crack on and we can get the store just clean down the oilseed rape next couple of days and get that pipe ready for the barley, and then hopefully it's a non-stop from then on.